Okay, everybody, welcome back, or welcome for the first time, depending on when you're finding us. I'm Steve Patterson. This is my brother Troy. We are the Gen X Transplant Brothers, and we are in the process of slowly changing this over to a podcast. And over the remaining time we have in 2025, we're going to do a combination of pre-recorded stuff and live stuff, and we're going to tell you as we get closer to Christmas what we can expect to see, what you can expect to see, what we can expect to be expected to do in the new year. But before we get going, Troy, as always, how you doing today?
Doing great. Beautiful day. Lovely
Beautiful day.
out.
How's the weather up there?
Freezing cold.
Freezing cold. And so you're in the central Mississippi Valley.
Yeah. And up in Illinois.
There's no noise, and there's a wha video we have on Is Your Noise in Columbia. But so it's cold there. Snow. You've had to shovel snow so far, right?
Yep. Had to shovel snow, but it's supposed to melt Wednesday.
I don't feel that pain. I actually envy it in a little way because today was one of the hottest days that we've had in a while. We had this nice time when it got down into the 70s.
Wow.
Our normal daily temperature year round, but lately it's been up in the 80s. Today it was like 83. And although the humidity here isn't as bad because we're so high up in the Andes, it's still warm is warm. So first up, what we'd like to take a look at is I got an email this morning because we've been talking so much about Marshall and Fender and all these things like that. And I guess this is like my unofficial, they're like the unofficial sponsors of the show now. Without even knowing it. And we're artificially introducing or whatever. Somehow the ecosystem of Fender and Marshall, simply because there's Fender sitting right there, and as you can see behind my brother's wall right there, is this Marshall. I got an email today from Fender saying, we saw that you were at our website recently. That's the video that we had when I was showing pictures of the Fender Twin Modern Price.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, cookies, man. There's a funny story about that I'll tell in the early .com years that I would like to share. But before we get there, I'm going to put my glasses on here. I'm going to share a screen with everybody. It sent me to this. And so, boom, the Iron Maiden collection. There was an email that said something, I think it said 50th anniversary, which kind of caught me off guard. But anyway, said reintroducing the Iron Maiden collection. And these are the guitars. And so we have, oh, there they go. There we go. Yeah, it is 50th. So limited edition, 50th anniversary, Dave Murray Stratocaster. Talk about, look at that. 3 pickups, 2 humbuckers in the rhythm and the lead position, and that middle one, and not sideways. That's exactly funny. It's sitting right behind me. Well, man, that's a beautiful guitar.
Have that.
I know. I would love that too, especially because mine today, I used to have an actual Fender Strat. That was stolen in the big heist of 90. One of 2 times.
I remember when that happened.
You didn't remember, right? Exactly. And so that was Luke. And so I had to, that's the one that's in the pictures that you'll see from me playing in the 80s. And since then, but I bought my son a Mexican Strat about 10 years after that. And, that's what I have today. So I have a Mexican Strat after all these years. And this is my main guitar guy, Dave Murray. That's a beautiful guitar. That's awesome, isn't it? Let's see what it says. So Seymour Duncan pickups, man. That's so on mine. What I did on mine, it was a Mexican Strat. And so I had work done in here, and it's actually sitting right here. I should probably grab it, but I have right here, I have a Super 2 and a Super 2. Remember the old, the DiMarzio Super 2s?
Yep.
And so I and then there's a Seymour Duncan equivalent, as they say, at least all the reviews, for the mid one. And that's what I have in the middle position. So I basically have 3 Super 2s. One of them is a Seymour Duncan. I've since removed my tremolo because I don't use it not as much because, well, my old one, I had the Kaler, but this one has the stock one, and I'm not going to use that. And I've also on mine replaced all of this. I've got all kinds of stuff built in here. I've replaced all that, and then all these too. I went to press. But
do you ever like play Grateful Dead on your Strat and just throw in a dive bomb with your whammy bar?
I don't even have the bar.
Yeah, you just said that, didn't you?
No, it didn't come with the bar, and I haven't played it. Remember, at the time that I bought this, during the era that I lost how to play with the pick, these are areas we've not talked about with me and my guitar playing, because it went on for a whole, and in fact, all the studio recordings I have, we haven't even mentioned that. They're available to listen to. But they were recorded largely finger picking on, well, first, that this Strat, the one here, because I had it as a backup, because I was going from acoustic into electric again. So I had the Alvarez acoustic that I still have. I was playing that, and so I usually didn't have a pick, so I learned how to finger pick over a period of 10 years doing that. And so at the time I went back to this, then I went to the Alembic. When I got my Alembic guitar, the neck was so wide, it fit perfectly, and the sound was, of course, through the roof. You have built-in, it's got so much on board, it's ridiculous. And then, of course, the Alembic went in the next big loss. And so now I have my Strat. And I don't know that I'd love to have an Alembic again, but to get a brand new Strat, I said that once before. A Strat and a Fender Twin, that's the best. And they're Dave Murray's signature. Made in, this must be the United States, written in some of the languages. I don't know. Mexican. Okay. Is it a Mexican Strat?
El Davido.
But that would say United States, which is how you say United States in Spanish. So, but the MX. Either way, it's a beautiful guitar.
It is. I'll take it either way.
I'll take it either way. In fact, I don't hold my Latino heritage of my guitar against me at all. It's really right there. I should just grab it. But no, these are my favorite guitars. I love the Gibsons, but I play better with these.
There's a lot.
What do we have for Iron Maiden celebrates their 50th anniversary, so they stand out as one of heavy metal's most influential and enduring forces since forming in East London in 1975. Yeah, they're really big. Seen as pioneering the new wave of British heavy metal, that acronym I just actually learned like last year. The band reached new heights with their unmistakable sound and theatrical performances. I think the theatrical performances here would be more accurate for Kiss. Their theatrical performance was what one man, his name was Eddie. He was the only one out there doing anything spectacular in that area. It was nice seeing Steve Harris, over the with the his bass doing his dun 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 with his foot on the monitor. But theatrical, that would have been the Eddie. Their signature style features galloping bass lines. There you go. Multi-guitar harmonies, operatic vocals. The operatic vocals, we're going to get back to that in a minute when it comes to the formation of Iron Maiden sound. We have some Slayer stuff coming up. While their omnipotent figurehead, Eddie, there you go, has evolved to become one of metal's most enduring cultural icons, selling over 100 million albums on 17 albums. Iron Maiden has built a devoted global following, testament to her 5 decades legacy of shaping metal's evolution. So Dave Murray's iconic Stratocaster have part-shaped the band's distinctive multi-guitar attack for decades, combining the best features of Dave's favorite Fender guitars, 3 Seymour Duncan pickups, compound radius freeboard, and a Floyd Rose R2 double tremolo. There you go for those bombs. The 50th anniversary Iron Maiden, Dave Murray special delivers legendary tone, superior feel, and iconic look that's been at center stage throughout the band's historic career. Maybe they sell the pin of it. If they have the little pin you can get, I can get that.
They might send it to you for free.
Nobody does anything like that.
Didn't he have a blue one too?
Yeah, I was actually funny. When I was picturing Steve Harris, I was picturing the days he had the spandex, had like the silver and blue stripes. Or was that Dave? One of them had like silver and blue. It might have been his guitar.
They got all colorful after Killers.
It was right. This is all Beast on the Road time here. Beast on the Road. Because really, after Beast on the Road, yeah. Wow, they lock. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so let's go. Is there one more iconic image of anything? Let's see. I think there's another one here. I'm trying to get back to the beginning of this.
I saw Steve Harris's precision.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to.
There it is.
There it is. Dave Murray Stratocaster. There's a limited edition. Okay, so this is probably not going to be a lot different. So what's this one? That's his P bass. This is his limited edition. Let me go. Okay, we looked at Dave's limited edition. Let's see his just basic P bass. Because remember when P bass was all it was? That or a guild, you know.
But yeah, he had the black
But
pinstripes around it, very country music looking ish.
it is for Roy Rogers and every bow and
Yeah,
a prowler.
Steve should have worn a cowboy hat on that tour.
Hey man, Run to the Hills came from somewhere, right?
Yeehaw! Round 'em up in the hills.
Let's see, what do we have down here? Okay, so it's crazy, man. Just I don't know enough about basses, but I remember they always had the staggered pickup thing. I'm never really clear on what that was, but this must literally be a volume and tone.
Yeah, yep,
Still in
that
the
was
days of
kind of what the precision was.
four strings instead of six. Did he? I wonder. Did he ever go to six?
I don't think he did.
He probably didn't. Doesn't need to. Look at these classic, just gears.
Yeah.
No tremolo bar on that. It's especially with those fat ass strings. Steve Harris galloping fleet fingered bass lines have turbocharged UK metal titans Iron Maiden for decades and have made him the most influential metal bassist alive. Harris has stayed true to his battle-hardened precision bass over the years, and his signature Steve Harris precision bass now comes in his famously regal white finish with special pinstriping, mirror pickguard, and that West Ham United Football Club. I don't know how they say it in England. That's how they say football club in Spanish. Crest. One ironclad feature includes a single powerful, there we go, Seymour Duncan Steve Harris signature model pickup, Fender high mass bridge, Fender round wound strings, and Harris's signature on the back of the headstock. A set of Rotosound Steve Harris signature flat wound strings are included in the gig bag. Man, he even got his own strings. That's strong.
Yeah, they probably the usual, just slapped his name on it.
Right. So earlier we were talking about if we talked about these things. I know I'm not trying to do this, but you don't want to mention it. You're like, hey man, they'll send you one. I do want to point out that neither of these individuals, so far as I know, use Fender amps. Is that the
They
case?
used Marshall, Hiwatt.
I think Dave actually used more of a rack mount type setup. I might be wrong, but I mean, obviously Marshall would have probably been in the mix. But
I think when I sat under Adrian Smith, it was Marshalls I saw.
his sound might have been more Marshall because he always had that more crunch lead, whereas Dave had that melodic, the pull offs and the beautiful little scales of pull off. Not trying to say he wasn't able to pick at it, like everybody else, but his combination of hammer-ons and the bar and just the sort of getting in that Steve Harris gallop mode. Whereas Adrian, and for other metal purists, again, I'm time-stamping my ass as a person that basically checked out of the whole scene about 84. The way that it sort of felt to me, anyway, sorry we're sharing this. That was a message from our own channel. That was odd. Was that when Adrian played, it was just more of a tightrope. Glenn Tipton and KK, the sound that they had in Priest was much more that traditional sort of just raw metal jamming, just jamming. And KK had, or excuse me, and Adrian had that same kind of raw sort of just basic playing. And I don't mean basic, but I mean sort of ground level of this whole thing. But he tossed in his own 2 cents and made it his own. Whereas Dave was like no reference to either of any of those parties. It was just sort of him and this land, forever and ever. But it sounded beautiful. And it's probably, though I don't know for sure, probably be the sound that was behind like that rhythmic, the trooper that that just sounds to me Dave inspired. It might not be, but I
Yeah, it
don't know.
does to me too. That
Hey,
sounds Davish.
right. And as far as it comes to like, what is is it 2 minutes to midnight? No, there's one of them that has that one where you start out on the E string, you hit you're picking really fast. You start on the 12th, and you go to like the 7th and like the 5th or whatever, or like the 5th to the 7th. And you're sort of going down this da from the coast of man to the let's see. Anyway, there's the one song, I think it's on like the Peace of Mind album, or somewhere in time, somewhere around then, where maybe that one is where I think the two, again, this is me trying to put some kind of crazy half-ass Iron Maiden guitar theory to work here. And I fully admit this for all you other guitar players out there. But I mean, that one's harder for me to play, sort of put out there. It sounds Dave in the fact that it's just pull-offs and this, but it also has this sort of immediacy of the other guy. So the beauty of the two was that they were able to pull off great sound. And whether or not, getting back to my question, Fender amps were involved, I don't know.
Well,
And
did
so
Dave have a Sunburst Strat like that?
Dave, yeah, he had this one.
I didn't know he had a Sunburst one.
Yep, that was like one of the first ones I remember seeing. And my Strat is the same, the one that I currently have, which might be also a Mexican Strat. It has the same tobacco. Can we zoom in? Yeah. See, this is all the same. Yeah, this is nowhere near the same.
That's the same one I threw up in the air and did not catch.
Yeah, well, you had your own. Did you have Floyd Rose on it?
No, it had the traditional whatever came with the Fender.
And look at that, man. And we talked about Floyd Rose and Kaler in another video, and you all can see that the playlist is Gen X Transplant Brothers music series. We have all these things in there. But I mean, that amount of, because the traditional bridge here, you see it, the string comes up from below, it goes over the, whatever these guys are called, and then heads down on its way to the nut. And the problem is for people who don't know these things, when you would loosen the tension on the string, at the other end of it, there's the machine head, or the tuning peg, as some people might call it, that holds that sort of tautness that keeps the note in place to mean you are in tune. So if suddenly this end gets looser, this end sort of naturally grabs some of that extra space. When you come back up, this string's pitch, the way it's level as far as its tonal quality goes, in other words, instead of being right here, it's right here all of a sudden, if that makes sense. That wreaks havoc on a guitar. If you have 6 of these strings, and most of them are going to have some of that. So now if you hit a long chord like a true G or something like that, or maybe a D, which would really be more suspect to something like this, is not going to sound right at all. You might be able to pull off an E or something like that, because I don't even know why that is, but maybe it has something to do with how much future tension you put on it coming up the neck with your, how you fret it, finger it on the fretboard. But what happens here, yeah, we're still sharing it. What happens here, how do I stop the image? These things are then incorporated in, and it doesn't show it here. I'm not going to explain it. You lock it down at the other end. You knock it down here at the machine heads. That's where you lock it down. And then once that happens, you do like a dive bomb, come back up, and then tune it again using these guys here. The point of this being is that this makes it so that you can use the vibrato, the whammy bar, in a way that is beyond just a little bit of tremolo, which is the way it used to.
Way beyond.
Like, well, exactly. It's like way beyond.
Way beyond
like,
using
right.
tremolo.
This is like I'm going between 3rd Street and 5th Street to 3rd Street and 5 states over. It's like boom.
Yes.
And so this is how that happens. Since you can't get that, okay, to sum it all up. So since you cannot, you can only stop this end and how far it's going to go. You lock it down here. So, okay, that's it. We're not going to take any more. And then down here, once that's done, you dive bomb it down. You get all that tension right. You tune it from there. It works. And so that's what all that's about. And there's 2 versions, Floyd Rose and Kaler. And at the end of the day, the only difference probably is cost and preference.
I preferred Kaler because I believe they were cheaper.
I preferred Kaler because I knew they were cheaper. Believe whatever you want to believe.
Yeah, it is the same concept.
This is great. Anyway, this is like people when they say it's deja vu, only different. So what are you saying? All right, a deja vu. It means it happened, so it means it not happened. I do need to point out right now, as we move into the next topic of conversation here, that every once in a while I mention out here that I worked in college sports for a number of years, covering the Georgia Bulldogs, which I did, and I also come on here from time to time and talk smack about the Dogs. I would just have to say, Alabama fans, that was a great game as far as how much it was taxing on both of those teams to have to continue to play all season long. Other teams are not held to this. Other teams that are crying at home because they were not able to play and can't keep going. I'm glad that Alabama was able to be seen for this valiant effort and be invited into the college football playoff, despite the fact that, and you know it's coming, the Dogs just barked a little too loud on that day the other day. And what a glorious game that was. I'm not going to gloat on Alabama because actually, of all things, I like Alabama to be good in college football because I think it's good for college football. Notre Dame, I feel the same way, but you don't really have a whole lot to talk about right now. And if you want to, how about we start the discussion by saying next time we talk about this, join a conference, get in the conference championship game. And then if you're snuffed out, you'll have a legitimate concern. On that note, Troy, did you watch the Georgia game as I get ready for this next segment?
No, I laid down to take a nap and I woke up and it was 28-7. It was like right before the end of the game. But
Okay, well,
I did not
that
talk
was
to
an
any of my
exciting
Alabama
review.
friends.
How many do you have?
2, probably none now.
As long as they don't watch the show. All right, folks, I'm getting ready to share a screen. Yeah, that's great. I don't want to get too in the weeds. I have a whole, as everybody knows, I have different projects going on. I have a whole different sort of recap of the upcoming book I have on the 17 years of being a .com pioneer and all those things. So we'll keep that UGA conversation over there because it's going to be entirely that topic. Getting back to what, some of the big things that we've seen here in the 6 weeks it's been now that we've had this channel, we've had a couple of viral moments, although, JV viral. The Marshall Stacks short we had is still the top dog in the whole thing. But the only reason that is because the Randy Rhoads one that was previous top dog. And what I mean by top dog is we have shorts and we have long form videos like this. Long form videos like this is what I would really rather our people that watch us check us out, because I think if you really see how we are and whatever, it sort of adds to the whole thing. But what we do care about is having frank conversations about Gen X and the way that we experienced it and being okay with that, being okay to be red-blooded Americans again. And so the things that we've noticed were that when we talk about Randy Rhoads, Marshall Stacks, we don't talk about Metallica because we don't have Metallica in us. But those things have been huge. But the one other one that really did it beyond belief was the day that we sat there and looked at the Sears catalog and looked at all those old pictures from Sears guitars, and all the people out there that replied were talking about, I looked at that same guitar, or I had this one. And I think that's great because that is the point of all this. And so to get back to that and get back out of me babbling forever, let's go over and look at one of our earliest versions of what we started to see on the shelves in the drugstore or at the, I don't even know what the name, the IGA, what store it would have been in those days where the parents were shopping or we were even shopping. In Chicago, it would have been places like Jewel and
Wow, Jewel.
I forget the name of the other ones, but yeah, there was another one too. But anyway, all those things are gone, but these things were there and we saw them on the shelves. Kerrang magazine. Troy,
Yes.
I'm going to have to put on my glasses because I want to be able to see all this, but just give me your impression after seeing this cover. This is the month that you first saw Judas Priest and Iron Maiden play at the Civic Center or the whatever center it was in
Coliseum.
Phoenix Coliseum in 1981 in June. That month, this was on the shelf. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do remember Kerrang. We shortly moved to San Diego, and there was a record store there called the Blue Meanie, and all they had was imports and stuff you couldn't find anywhere, and they had Kerrang magazine. And I bought every one. I did not have that one though, but I got Kerrang. That's where I got a lot of the EPs, Iron Maiden's EPs. You know, they had
Exactly.
two songs
They
on,
had
or
a
one
couple of,
song on each side.
I forget what one.
They had a
There was
lot
one.
of
I mean,
EPs.
yeah, there was one that just had like the skull with. It was a really creepy version of Eddie, even like pre-Eddie almost. But and then of course Made in Japan, the one that everybody knows about. But yeah, I don't remember. I can't say that I don't remember seeing this, because when I saw it, I was like, man, that looks so familiar. But it's probably just the Kerrang magazine, because at this time I wasn't really in the loop of, even I don't even know if I was all the way there. But look here, we already have Motorhead. Well, Motorhead been around for a while. Girls School, UFO still sticking around. Saxon, that's got to be early Saxon. Shanker again, trying to hold on, UFO crowd. And I'm sorry, UFO crowd. The only reason I speak like this is because when I was in grade school in Chicago, there were two camps. It was the Iron Maiden camp and the UFO camp. I was the only person in the Iron Maiden camp, and everybody in the UFO camp thought I was a freaking moron. So that's why I talk that way about it. Because where are they now? All right, Wild Horses, Pat Benatar, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, ZZ Top, future amp owner, Ted Nugent. Oh my gosh, we could go on forever. As far as Cal, was it too?
Yeah, we had that 8-track.
Yeah. All right, let's just go down and look at this. Stand and Deliver. Oh, yeah, Ozzy, Born to Be Wild. Osborne. Yeah. Evident. Former Black
Osborne
Sabbath,
to be
Ozzy Osbourne. Gross out activity. Bit the head off a
with that.
dove. It says, we will believe any tale.
I
Wait, is this real?
remember when that was a
Let's see
big
that. Whoa,
story.
I'm trying to get out of all this crap. How do I? Okay. Now that we've seen the pictorial evidence of former Black Sabbath Ozzy Osbourne's gross out activities, biting a dove's head, I thought it was a bat, we'll believe any tale we're told about the man. So how about these two for starters? Returning home from a grueling Sabs tour, the Oz found himself in a foul temper, discovering his wife out, presumably shopping. Osborne's mood darkened further as he revealed the tension. He grabbed a shotgun and blasted away. Jenkins. We're going to stop there. For all we know, this was later slanderous, so we're going to stop. Wow. Okay, so Mark Farmer here. Look at this guy from Grand Funk. Man, that dude was a beast. Everybody in the rain. Oh, and here's Ozzy. Do you see this, Troy? I wish he had an actual computer so you could see this instead of looking on your phone.
Shitting?
But this is appears to be Ozzy shitting. Do or Die It. Here's Meatloaf. Is that Paul Di'Anno? No.
It looks like Paul Di'Anno in the middle.
It is. It says, feast your eyes on the above. From left, Meatloaf, Paul Di'Anno of Iron Maiden, and member of New Romantics, Duran Duran. 3 lookalikes, if not sound-alikes. I don't think so. Man, you're picking on the wrong guy here. Paul Di'Anno, man. Anyway, of course, the Meat has a flabby figure for years, but he looks like Mr. Di'Anno isn't far behind. No, I think he just a little bit buzz from the Jack Daniels, probably trying to find his ass on a monitor. He's not getting fat. He's getting wasted. Heavy metal game to a little too seriously. Well, maybe that. As far as the chunky Duran Duran man, let us ally your fears and build upon your fears by starting here now that this is the only picture of the futures to appear anywhere in this magazine. And who was that who said this still me to? Okay, so in other words, whatever. That's a bush league little paragraph there. No wonder is this magazine still in print? That's because he got bought out. Yeah, they got bought out by somebody else. I recognize this guy. That is a Black Axe. Remember that name? That's your name.
Yeah, I had a band called Black Axe, and then we found out after we broke up, there was a band in England.
Is this why? So this is why we changed the name? You changed the name?
Yeah, because those guys went from
look at
England.
Them, man. They better still be going today. Them's crazy guys. Saxon. Here we go. Let me get my armor and shield out. It's time for us to storm the beaches. These guys, I love them.
Yeah, that's the guy. That's the
we're not going to
guitar
read
player.
this.
Yeah, that's the guy that made me
We're not
think
going
I
to
could throw my guitars up in the air.
blame him. This guy here?
No,
That's
that's
the
the
guy?
singer. That's the singer, the guy in the hat.
Okay. Vardis.
Never heard of them.
I have no memory of that.
He's got a Telecaster. Wow.
Of course, that might have something to do with it. I don't know why these are sideways. This is all from archive.org. Armed and Ready.
I remember that
here,
band.
look at this. Look at this. How did I not? This here, this H. To give you an idea, this might have something to do with really the greater psychology of Steve Patterson. If there's a profile, I hate being labeled so much that apparently I've been a part of this community since before the community even had this acronym. And I've only found out about this acronym in the last literally 6 months.
What does it stand for?
It's New Wave. I think it's New Wave of British Heavy Metal. Have you heard that before?
No.
I mean, but look, here it is in the freaking magazine in those days.
But if
How do we
that's
not hear that?
1981, what was the first wave? Zeppelin and Deep Purple? That's not heavy metal to me.
No. But I mean, for some of us, it kind of still is.
Black
for me,
Sabbath,
like if I think old school AC/DC, old school Black Sabbath.
Yeah, that is Deep.
Bon Scott, right? Yeah, and Deep Purple is, I mean, shit, that's all the same.
I don't know. I stand with the keyboards don't belong in heavy metal.
I do, but it's close. I would rather have Richie Blackmore and Black Sabbath up to the end of Killers than from the beginning of Prowler on Iron Maiden's first album to say another 9 years later to whatever happened in 1989. What Striper running around out there? Somebody trying to tell me about how I should convert to Christianity
while they're doing cocaine and
this religion. But this is about, it became, not only did it become telling us what to do instead of telling us how to live, it's sort of featuring heroism, to this sort of victim-based narrative, which is anything that is organized religion. The reason we can't is because I
don't know. That was a crazy publicity stunt they had going on.
Yeah, there's a bunch of that, like all like Christian hip hop, all that. I mean,
they had the album "To Hell with the Devil." Goofy
sticks. Okay, let's not get stuck too long on this one. Which one?
That Explorer.
Yeah, there you go. There's your go. That's exactly the kind you had. You had the white. No, you had the black pick guard. Or no, you had the mirror.
I had the white one, but I got a mirror pick guard for mine.
Exactly.
Yeah, I replaced it.
All right, let's go to this.
Kerrang.
Children of the Corn. I only say that because that's
who's
quite
I didn't know that pilot sang in a band.
Before he became a pilot, he was a crazy unshaven man, and it's
I don't
a weird way to lighting his
my plane.
He has wings. Just kidding, Bruce. Just kidding. We all have wings, but still, he's just a weird. I don't know. All right, so I guess it's Summer of Love late, but anyway. So Rods, you remember Rods? I remember the name, but I don't remember anything about them.
I
remember Anvil, but I don't remember anything about them. What about Anvil? I remember we probably had them.
I had an album by them. They were a 3-piece band, and they were more like biker rock and roll with the jeans and patches on their jeans. Yeah, they were good. I liked them.
Okay. Yeah,
album cover had a dog with 3 heads on it.
That might, yeah. Okay. I'm about to revisit that one.
And by the way, that's where he came from.
That's Bruce's old band.
Yeah.
Right. And there's Rush still going, Aerosmith going. I mean, still going. People might hear say still going, but they'd already been going for a while. Some of these other ones
remember Anvil. Anvil. Yeah, they were good.
And then, of course, it's going into Maiden. Still relatively new, and everybody else is. I mean, look at that. So Paul Di'Anno's show was in September of '82.
So I saw him right before he quit or was kicked out. I think Bruce Dickinson's name was Bruce when it was in Samson, and Steve Harris made him change it.
So it wasn't Bruce Dixon?
No, it was Bruce.
Or Dick. What about Dick Brucerson?
The Dick son?
Bruce, that sounds so English. It sounds like something out of Vikings. I am Bruce the Dick.
Yeah. I come from the band of Sax Samson.
I come from the land of, look at this, Screaming for Vengeance. I just scrolled down here on albums, and the number one thing I saw right there, number 7, Screaming for Vengeance. Okay, so the albums they have, my God, don't even go there. This and Jukebox Hero are throw the damn radio out the window songs. Eye of the Tiger. Bam, 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 bam. I was over that by the end of Rocky 2.
Oh, yeah, I was sick
Rough
of
Time
it.
is not familiar. There's your Tigers of Pantang.
Battle hymns.
Yeah. 10,000 side by. I still have that. That's like on my workout list.
The eagle has landed.
Game for Vengeance. These are some great ones, folks. And so what I was going to say is, since we cannot play this music here, we had 2 times we played less than 5 seconds, and both times YouTube flagged it, and we had given the choice: delete the video or chop out that part. So there's 2 times you'll see, or in earlier videos, where it's silent. That's where the music was. So I've given up on all that bullshit. So what we're going to do, I'm in the process of building it here too on this channel. I'm building right now the Gen X Transplant Bros playlist on Spotify as part of my Spotify. I'll be linking that here in the next couple of weeks for people to listen to, so that when we talk about particular songs, if you want to, you can hit pause while you're watching this, particularly if you're watching this at home on like your television or something like that. We're best as a podcast. All right. We're not going to be the shorts community. That's not us. And so if you want to do that, hit pause, go listen to the song, come back. You'll at least have or go hear it again, if you've already heard it before. But I just wanted to say, we're going to provide that for our way of dealing with the copyright issues, because we can only promote these bands and talk favorably about them, but we can't let you hear what they sound like. I know that makes total sense, right? Let's get rid of this over on the side. So, and it does make sense, because a lot of people just do nothing but let that stuff play. Look at that Explorer.
Yeah. That looks like an Ibanez one. Nope, it's a Gibson.
Is it the neck? Yeah.
No, it's a Gibson.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a whammy bar on that.
There's our old pal Rob.
I had that. Whatever issue of it.
Yep. Right. I think this is one. They're Screaming for Vengeance, all about this stuff. These pictures. I mean, gee whiz. This is we both had this, or maybe I looked at yours or whatever, but I completely remember seeing all of this. Wow. And that's one other thing, is I want people to help us remember some of these random little bands. There's lots of random little bands I remember that had.
There's the Rods. There's that album.
I mean, I remember that. Now, I didn't remember the Rods, but I remember the cover.
Yeah.
I'm going to go dig this shit up. Oh, this Ron Wood. All right. Still going, man. It's great. Samson, still in there. I think, though, there's the Stones. I'm just trying to scroll down, because there's one of them that I was looking at earlier. Saxon, they don't look so majestic there, but still. I saw the Blackout tour. There we go. I saw Maiden and them play at the UIC Pavilion in Chicago.
Who warmed up?
Anyway, so maybe it's not this. Scorpions played before Maiden.
Oh.
Yep. And so here we have this last thing, and we've been going now for 44 minutes. So we're just looking at Kerrang magazine tonight, and then the Dave Murray and Steve Harris guitars. We're not going to go through this whole thing, folks, because this is long. This is I don't know how many pages, but everybody knows. Obviously, nobody here needs an introduction. These are, regardless of us being heavy metal folks, these are all, none of these people can we do without, because we're built on the foundation they laid. Because this is rock and roll, which is really what it's all about, including this man in the middle, who everybody here knows for the ensuing 25 years up to this day has still been my primary thing I do in music. Look at that, Jim Morrison. Wow, it almost looks like Doc Holliday. Whatever, that guy.
Val Kilmer played Doc Holliday and Jim Morrison.
Jim Morrison looks just like Doc Holliday. That's a classic one. All right, so here's Grace Slick, but yeah, I don't know. We don't really have to go through the top 100s. Troy, do you have anyone to look at?
No.
The one that I found most interesting that I want to show you is there. We had it right there, and this is going to be a little bit of a segue for those folks out there that hear me tell about metal the way that I do. And I hope we didn't just go too far beyond it. There's Deep Purple, the rise of metal. You know, we've talked about this, living through all this. I want to tell you about the Grateful Dead. So, just to give everybody an understanding about how that happened, the way that I left heavy metal music is that I felt that the people that I was dependent on around me to well, I looked at it like this. I had found the best setup I was going to find, and I'd finally put together what I thought was going to work. And then, although I did not know it at the time, I found out later that was falling apart, and there was an opportunity for me to go someplace else, but I wasn't told about that for whatever reason, literally just a couple of years ago. The point being that everybody sort of all of a sudden went their own directions out of the blue. And at that point, I was already a sort of problem child. I quit everything. I was already a high school dropout. I dropped out of high school to play heavy metal music. I said, F it. And I joined the military. And so once I joined the military, that was the end of me playing active heavy metal. I still played in the Army, and I did play a live gig while I was in the Army with a band called Fallen Angel at the Caw Theater on Halloween of 1987. But other than that, at the same time, I was introduced by another infantryman into the Grateful Dead thing, which is where, oddly, the singer of the band, who fell apart, had gone. And so I gave that a listen. And when I heard that, the evolution of me as a guitar player took its next step. What started as Ace Frehley and just sort of, although I wasn't sort of drunken bluesy rock, whatever, very good, but really, meandering and whatever. That led to like the precision stuff of what I heard with Triumph, and then the ultra precision I got with Randy Rhoads, and then precision with elegance that I got with Dave Murray. When I heard Garcia play, I heard every direction was possible in any direction at any time, and you didn't even have to plan it. And I found the perfect place that I've been playing in since. And so, with that in mind, I thought it was interesting that though I did not know anything about them, however, I'd already had an experience with them as early as 1976 in Chicago. These guys in that episode, this edition of Circus that we would have had, have the longest spread. It goes on for almost 5 pages. Nobody else gets 3. And I was like, how in the hell did we miss this? And the first thing, I was talking to Troy about this earlier. Well, the first part is because how in the hell were we supposed to ever see it? Where would it have come into our lives? You're the family in Arizona is a young and budding Mormon family. Furthest thing from even Kiss. Well, back in Chicago, my other home life was living in a typical U.S. house with a lot of high energy parties and all this, but always the popular music. You've heard the way that I still have an affinity for oddly disco music now, and all the great songs just across the board in American music, because we literally had a bar and a jukebox, a real jukebox in our house, and lots of people. And so I steeped in all the music, and so I loved all that. But nowhere in that was anybody listening to Grateful Dead.
I remember,
and
in
certainly
the late
nobody in Tempe. Do you remember ever even hearing the word Grateful Dead prior to, like, I don't know, when's the first time you even heard it?
I heard them in 78 or 79 on the King Biscuit Flower Hour. Me and Greg listened to them live on the King Biscuit. I didn't know who they were other than trucking. But I was really into I knew of them, but wasn't a big fan because I liked a lot of distortion and hard rock in my guitar. So when I heard the Grateful Dead on the King Biscuit Flower Hour, I actually thought they were a country band because there was no distortion. But
Yeah,
It
that's
was
funny. That's funny you
definitely
say that because
different for me. I was, I don't know, 10 or 11, no, a lot older than that, 14 or 15 when I heard it. But that's when
uh,
but
it's
after
funny.
that, I didn't really think much of the Grateful Dead until Touch of Grey came out, and that was huge. And I thought, these guys are still
That was
around, huh?
huge.
And then when we had our trailer in Camp Verde, that's all we listened to was the Grateful Dead, and that's when I kind of started liking them.
Yeah. And
Water.
so the path to that was through me. But one thing I want to add before I tell this little how I got their story, what you said about when you heard a Grateful Dead, you thought it was country music.
Yeah.
As everybody here knows, if they've seen, I live in South America and my wife's from South America. Nobody here has any remote understanding of what Grateful Dead is because, first off, there's the music level, but the music level is like the tip of the iceberg of understanding the Grateful Dead. It's like Tolkien and Grateful Dead and the Bible almost rolled into one. And if that offends anybody, then, well, that's too bad. But I mean, it's really just, it's such a different kind of experience to understand. But so she says, it's like country music. I'm
Well,
like, okay, that makes
they
me look
did
like I have like a piece of hay in my teeth and I'm just fishing all day, listening
well,
to Shakedown
they
Street.
they did do some Marty Robbins songs, didn't
Oh,
they?
well, no shit. Everybody knows, yeah, El Paso's been around for, yeah, yes, there's tons of
Well,
them. And we
more
can get
than
into
El
the
Paso,
discography of
that
it,
they
but
did,
that's not the point. Well,
but
Troy,
I'm not,
there's tons
I
of it.
liked
There's
their
entire
versions.
albums of bluegrass.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But I'm going to say is here that when it comes to they have a version of it, there's not only any musical genre you can think of probably represented, but then the versions of it are equally different. But here's what I wanted to get at. Okay, I wasn't trying to split hairs on whether they were Johnny Cash or not, but how it all started with me, I didn't even know it. I didn't even know it until later. When we moved in, when I left Neoga, Illinois, when we lived together in 73 or whatever it was, we moved to Chicago. And then we lived in Lincoln Park by the actual Lincoln Park itself, downtown Chicago in the city. Whenever I talk about Chicago, I'm talking about living in the city, not the suburbs, city. And so we moved to Lincoln Park. And then from there, we moved to Uptown. And the house we moved in Uptown on Magnolia was behind the Riviera Theater, which is just down the street from where the Uptown Theater was. And so we had a big house cleaning thing going on for that first summer. And there was one day when my only job was throughout this time to carry trash out. We had this long walk all the way to the back fence to take the trash out. And one day I went out to the alley behind these theaters and there was all these people in the alley all of a sudden, and they were wearing all these like colorful clothes. And I remember in my mind seeing like pictures of what people from the 60s looked like were all over the place. And it was 1976. And so this whole day took, I remember they were out there, they were very nice, they were very friendly. They were out there all day in the alley. And I didn't really understand what that was until years later. I found out that the Grateful Dead had been playing at that theater at that time. And that was probably Deadheads hanging out in the alleys prior to the show, doing whatever Deadheads did 1976. So that was my first brush with them. But the next one came when my singer in Blitzkrieg all of a sudden showed up to practice one day and said, I don't want to sing heavy metal anymore because I want to just play Grateful Dead. And Danny, I actually have a video of this on my other channel. Last time we talked about this, I might play that, but you're welcome to come on the show again. But anyway, Danny said that, and Danny did at that point then become the singer-songwriter that he is today. And he's still out there playing in the world, has albums and everything. And he doesn't play Grateful Dead, no, but that's where he sort of got his start. And I was like, why in the hell do you, of all things, you want to go hang out with the freaking hip? I was like totally covered in diamond spikes and pyramid spikes and, like dyed my hair black. It's like, okay, we're going to just tear this up. And, I named my guitar Lucifer. And now we're going to sing about that. And so that was the end of Blitzkrieg. And that's why I was so disillusioned and joined the army. And so then after I was in the army and got all that rage out of me and jumped out of airplanes and did everything else, another 11 Bravo infantryman, I won't mention his name here, but I've told him this before on Facebook. He brought in a cassette tape of Terrapin Station, the studio album. And I heard it and I was like, this is the most bizarre. I had no idea it was Grateful. And I was like, what the? F is this? I mean, is this like guitar or is this like an orchestra? You got to really hear the way this album happened. And I became enamored with it, started listening to it. And then next thing somebody said, there's a new album, and it was Touch of Grey. And it was your song, Touch of Grey. Then this was the following year in 87. And so then while in the Army, I transitioned from playing on October 1st, 1987, my last heavy metal show with Fallen Angel with Lucifer. This is prior to Lucifer being stolen just a couple years later. And that was the end. That's the last time Funeral was played live. And then after that, I got out of the Army, and then since the guitar was stolen shortly thereafter, I then only had an acoustic guitar. And that sort of fed me right into the Grateful Dead pipeline. And because I had learned now that anything was possible to play if you just wanted to, you could take any song in the world and just make it into any way you want to. And so that's how I ended up writing all my songs since. That's how that happened. So I thought it was interesting, though, that there was that amount of Grateful Dead around me for something that impacted me so much years later. But I mean,
I'm
that's like any
curious,
state
like,
of,
what led Danny Schaefer to it? You know, just all of a sudden. I mean, do you know? That's pretty interesting.
yeah, I think part of it well, I'm not going to speak for Danny.
Right. Probably same as me, got a little burned
And this
out
is
on.
something that Danny is, but this is something Danny has spoken a lot about. So I'll just say this, and I also work in this field, and we've talked about it on this level. Danny and I at that time were, I think more so Danny when it comes to the particular substance. Danny was drinking too much in high school. Okay, it was causing him all kinds of trouble. He'll tell you that now. All right, and I'm not stealing any thunder here. I'm not selling out my friend, and he's my dear friend. I mean, he's one of the oldest friends I have. He decided he wasn't going to do that anymore. And he was dead fucking serious. And he hasn't done it since. He stopped drinking like in junior year in high school
Wow.
and has been sober. He's been sober since. He's been vegan since. He's been a singer songwriter on stage, living a quality life. So that is a power move on his part, what is best for him in his life. And for me or anybody else to say anything negative about that is for us to just shut the F up. Okay, I don't know what the hell was. You know what I mean? He has a
Yeah.
choice to do what he wants to do. He chose his choice. To me at the time, I was like, you serious? We're like 17. Come on, man. No, he found a different way. And that's the piece that he found, and he stayed in that vibe. And talk about a weird, not weird, but I mean, me later becoming a Deadhead and touring with the Dead and all that. Talk about a tightrope to walk. You're on tour, following the Grateful Dead. You're being a Deadhead, and you're not partying at all. You know, I mean, not even smoking pot. I mean, that's strong. That's strong. You got to give it to a man that does that, and I have forever, and that's why probably we're still friends. You
Yeah.
know,
That's pretty
and
cool.
so power move on. Yeah, yeah. So, and I do have on my other channel. It's listed here. If you want to go dig it up, I have an interview with me and Danny in like 2020 after we saw each other for the first time, and I think it was 19 years at that point. I have a habit of doing that. Troy, you know, you and I are going to see each other in 2 years, 2 weeks for the first
Oh,
time in
2
almost
weeks.
20 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, you know that? I've already talked to our sister. Y'all are coming to Chicago.
Okay.
Okay. You sound thrilled.